I stood in my kitchen, phone pressed to my ear, while Diane's voice dripped through the speaker like honey mixed with poison. Emma, darling, I need you to transfer some money now. I'm at the salon and my card isn't working. My stomach tightened. It was Friday. Payday. It was always payday when she called. Diane, I can't right now. The electricity bill is overdue, and we're behind on. Her voice turned sharp. A proper wife supports her husband's family. Don't embarrass Marcus. I opened my mouth to protest, but Marcus walked in from the hallway, loosening his tie. His eyes found mine, then flicked to the phone. What's wrong? He mouthed. I covered the speaker. Your mum needs money. He sighed like I was being difficult. Just send it, babe. It's not that much. My hands trembled as I opened my banking app. £200. I hovered over the button, wanting someone to tell me this was wrong. But Marcus watched with that expectant look, and Diane's breathing filled the silence. I pressed send. Done, I whispered. Marcus's phone buzzed on the counter. A notification lit up the screen. Payment received. Thank you, love. His hand shot out too fast, flipping it over. My blood went cold. That message wasn't from his mother. After Marcus disappeared into the shower, I sat frozen on the sofa, my mind racing. The notification played on repeat in my head. Thank you, love. His tablet sat on the coffee table, screen dark. I touched it, and it glowed to life, no password required. My fingers moved almost on their own, opening his email and typing one word, receipt. Results flooded the screen. Boutique purchases. Hotel bookings. Delivery confirmations. I clicked the newest one. Designer heels. Silk blouse. Express delivery. The delivery name wasn't mine. It wasn't Diane's. It was a woman's name I'd never heard. Natasha. Gift note, for my beautiful girl. My chest tightened. I scrolled through more emails, hand shaking. Another receipt. Another hotel. Another gift. Each one came within hours of Diane's emergency calls. Each one came right after I'd transferred money. The pattern was too clean to be coincidence. Behind me, the shower stopped. Water dripped onto tile. I closed the tablet quickly and stood, forcing my face into something normal. Marcus emerged, towel around his waist, humming softly. Thanks for handling, Mum, he said, kissing my cheek. She gets stressed easily. I nodded, throat dry. He went to dress, and I stared at the wall, listening to my heartbeat thunder in my ears. When he came back out, I asked casually, "How was your mum's salon visit?" He didn't blink. "Oh, you know. Same as always." The lie came so easily. I smiled like I believed him. The next morning, Diane called again. "Emma, I need to pick up medication. I'm short on cash." I forced sweetness into my voice. "Where are you? I'll come with you and pay directly." Silence stretched across the line. Then her tone shifted. "Why would you come? Just transfer it." "I want to help properly," I said gently. "Are you calling me a liar?" Her voice rose. My pulse quickened. "No, I just..." "You're being difficult. Do you want Marcus stressed?" She always knew which buttons to press. "Let me talk to him," I said. When Marcus took the phone, his face tightened with annoyance. At me, not her. He turned off the speaker. "Just send it. She's upset." "Where is she?" I asked. She said the pharmacy. Another smooth lie. I sent less than she'd asked for, just enough to see what would happen. Minutes later, I checked our shared location app, the one we'd enabled months ago for safety. Marcus's dot moved across the map. Not toward a pharmacy. Not toward Diane's house. Toward the city center. Toward hotels. I grabbed my keys and walked out without a word, hands steady on the steering wheel as I followed the blued on my screen. I parked across from a sleek hotel with glass doors and polished stone steps. Marcus walked in first, shoulders relaxed, like he'd done this 100 times. 10 minutes later, Diane arrived in a taxi, wearing a fitted coat and expensive perfume. She walked into the lobby like she owned it. Then a third person appeared. A woman in her 20s, heels clicking, designer bag swinging, hair perfect. Diane smiled and pulled her into a hug. A warm hug. A family hug. My stomach twisted. Marcus appeared beside them and handed the woman an envelope. She opened it, smiled, and kissed his cheek. My phone buzzed. Diane calling. I answered, voice eerily calm. Emma, darling, I'm at the clinic. They won't see me without payment up front. Please send it now. I stared at her through my windshield as she stood in a hotel lobby, laughing. Of course, Mum, I said softly. I'll help. I didn't send anything. Instead, I took photos. Quiet, careful photos. Then I drove home, cooked dinner, and smiled at Marcus like nothing had changed. Because something had changed, inside me. A cold clarity settled in my chest. They weren't just lying. They were using me as fuel. That night, I searched online, solicitor consultation financial abuse. I booked the earliest appointment available. 2 days later, I sat across from a woman named Claire in a quiet office that smelled like leather and coffee. I explained everything, the calls, the transfers, the receipts, the hotel. Claire listened without interrupting. When I finished, she didn't look shocked. You've been financially coerced, she said. Systematically. My throat tightened. She asked questions that made my cheeks burn. Is your salary in a joint account? Yes. Does he have access to your cards? Yes. Do you have savings in your name only? No. Do you have documentation? I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos. She studied them carefully. This is good. But we need more. We need a timeline. And you need to protect yourself immediately. She slid a notepad toward me. Open a separate account. Change your passwords. Enable two-factor authentication. Don't confront them yet. People escalate when cornered. She paused. And don't sign anything. If he asks you to co-sign a loan or transfer, bring it to me first. I left holding that notepad like a lifeline. That evening, Marcus mentioned casually that Diane wanted us to move closer to her. I almost laughed. That night, I opened a new bank account, mine alone. The confirmation email felt like freedom. I started moving my salary into the new account quietly. I left just enough in the joint account to look normal. 3 days passed before Diane called, furious. The transfer bounced. What have you done? I kept my voice mild. That's strange. Maybe the bank flagged unusual activity. She hissed into the phone. You're lying. I'd never lie to you, Mum. Behind her anger, I heard panic. Because their system required me to stay obedient. That night, Marcus came home frowning. Mum says you've been acting weird about money. I looked up innocently. Weird how? Just, send her what she needs. Don't make it hard. I nodded gently. I'm just trying to be responsible. He relaxed immediately, thinking responsible meant compliant. Later, he tried to touch me, arm sliding over my waist. I turned away, whispering, I'm tired. He sighed, annoyed, and rolled over. In the darkness, I stared at the ceiling and felt my body reject everything about him. The next day, a package arrived addressed to Marcus. Designer label. Expensive wrapping. I photographed everything before placing it by the door. When he came home, his eyes went straight to it. He grabbed it too quickly. Just work stuff, he muttered. I smiled. Of course. But I'd already documented it. Sunday arrived, and Diane invited us to family dinner. The dining room gleamed with her best china and candles. Relatives filled the chairs, smiling politely. Halfway through the meal, Diane stood and raised her glass. I'm so grateful for family, she said warmly. Especially a daughter-in-law who understands the importance of helping. Every face turned toward me. My cheeks burned. She continued, which is why I know Emma will be happy to contribute to our family weekend trip next month. Silence fell. Marcus's hand clamped onto my knee under the table, tight, controlling. Diane smiled. How much can you manage, darling? I set down my fork slowly. I'll help, I said softly, after I review our finances properly. Her smile flickered. She laughed too loudly. Review? Your family, not an accountant. Marcus whispered harshly, don't embarrass me. I lifted his hand off my knee gently. I won't, I said. I'm just being responsible. The air shifted. For the first time, they couldn't control the moment. Later, I heard voices in the hallway. Diane, sharp and low, if she won't pay, we'll make her. Marcus, she'll come around. I stood frozen, listening. They thought I couldn't hear. They were wrong. The next morning, an email appeared in my inbox, password reset requested. Then another, new device login attempt. My pulse spiked. I changed every password immediately, enabled two-factor authentication, and saved screenshots. I emailed Claire, they tried to access my bank. Her reply came fast, this strengthens your case. That evening, Diane appeared at my door unannounced. She walked in like she owned the place, scanning the room with sharp eyes. You've been difficult, she said coldly. I need £2,000 by tomorrow. For what? I asked. She leaned closer. Don't ask questions. Just do it. Marcus stood behind her, silent. I looked between them and nodded slowly. Okay. Her shoulders relaxed. But inside, I'd made my decision. After she left, I texted Claire, they tried to access my account. They demanded £2,000. I'm ready. Her response was immediate. Document everything. Don't confront. Prepare to exit. So I did. I packed slowly. Passport, documents, certificates. I acted sweet. I cooked. I smiled. They thought I was surrendering. They didn't understand the difference between submission and strategy. Then Marcus slid papers toward me one evening. Just sign this, he said casually. A loan application. Cosign required. I read the fine print, stomach sinking. Let me show my sister first, I said sweetly. She's good with documents. Diane's voice erupted from speakerphone. Why involve outsiders? I apologized, took photos, and sent them to Claire. Her reply, do not sign. This is dangerous. I needed one final piece of evidence. I found one of the boutique receipts and searched the delivery name online. Natasha's profile appeared, designer clothes, restaurant photos, confident poses. I sent a message, we need to talk. Woman to woman. Her reply came quickly, who is this? I sent a screenshot of the receipt. Then proof of my transfer, timed an hour before her purchase. Long pause. Then, where did you get that? I typed, from the life you're living on my money. Another pause. He told me his mum paid. I stared at the screen. His mum did pay. With my money. Silence. Then, can we meet? We arranged to meet at a cafe the next afternoon. She walked in confident, designer bag on her shoulder. She sat across from me, eyeing me like competition. So you're the wife, she said, smirking. I didn't flinch. Yes. She laughed softly. If you couldn't keep him, that's not my fault. I nodded. You're right. That confused her. I opened my folder and laid out bank statements, receipts, and dates. Her smirk faded as she scanned them. I slid forward a photo, Diane hugging her in the hotel lobby. Her eyes widened. You know her, I said. She looked away. She's been kind. She's been using my money, I corrected. The words landed hard. Her fingers tightened on the paper. He said his mum supported him, she whispered. With money she demanded from me, I replied. Her face changed completely. For the first time, she looked unsettled. There's something you should know, she said quietly. What? She swallowed. I'm not the only one. She told me about another woman in another city. Same pattern. Same gifts. Same hotels. She sent me screenshots before she left. When she stood to go, she paused. What will you do? I met her eyes. I'm going to stop being the fuel. That evening, Marcus came home cheerful. Mum says you're finally doing the right thing. I looked up from chopping vegetables. What do you mean? She wants to discuss giving her access to your account. For transparency. I laughed once, soft, almost silent. He frowned. What's funny? I shook my head. Nothing. You're right. We need transparency. His face relaxed. He kissed my forehead, proud. He had no idea how little he knew me. The next day, I suggested a family meeting to clear the air. Diane loved the idea. She invited relatives immediately. She wanted witnesses. She wanted pressure. She thought she'd win. The meeting was at Diane's house. She wanted her territory. Relatives arrived. Aunts, uncles, cousins. They smiled politely, expecting me to fold. Halfway through, Diane stood. We're here because there's been tension. Tension comes when a woman forgets her role. Several heads nodded. She continued, a wife supports her husband. A wife respects her elders. Murmurs of agreement. Then she looked at me. Tell everyone why you've been withholding help. Marcus squeezed my thigh under the table, hard. I lifted his hand off gently. Then I stood. The room went quiet. I smiled and said calmly, I haven't withheld help. I've documented where the money goes. Diane's smile froze. I placed a folder on the table. This is every transfer you demanded. Her voice sharpened. Why would you do that? For transparency, I said evenly. I opened the folder. Bank statements. Receipts. Hotel confirmations. Then a photo, Diane hugging Natasha in the hotel lobby. Someone gasped. Diane's hands shook as she reached for it. Marcus stood abruptly. What are you doing? I looked at him, showing the truth. You've been spying. I tilted my head. I've been protecting myself. Diane's voice rose. This is disrespectful. I lifted one finger. Let me finish. The room went still. I have recordings of you lying about clinics while standing in hotel lobbies. I played 10 seconds of audio. Diane's eyes widened. Marcus looked around, panicked. No one moved. Because truth is heavy. I slid the final document forward, a solicitor's notice. Diane stared at it like it was fire. Marcus grabbed it, eyes scanning frantically. His face drained of color. You're serious, he whispered. Yes, I said. Diane slammed her palm on the table. You don't bring legal matters into family. I blinked slowly. You brought money into family first. Gasps rippled through the room. Diane pointed at me. You're ungrateful. I welcomed you. You welcomed my money, I said quietly. There's a difference. Marcus's jaw clenched. You're trying to ruin me. I met his eyes. You ruined this when you made your mother your partner in betrayal. Diane's face twisted. You're bitter because you can't keep a man. The words hit hard. But I didn't crumble. I breathed in and said, no. I'm firm because I refuse to be robbed. Marcus tried one last manipulation, voice soft and pleading. Babe, if you leave, you'll be alone. No one will want you. Silence. I stared at him and felt something surprising. Pity. I was alone the moment you turned me into an ATM, I said. Then I turned to the room. I'm not here to humiliate anyone. I'm here to end this. Diane hissed. So what now? You think you can survive without us? I nodded. Yes. Marcus's face shifted, fear creeping in. I gathered my folder calmly. Any further attempts to access my finances will be treated as harassment. I walked out. No wobbling. No shaking. In my car, I didn't cry. I just breathed. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I'm his other woman. We need to talk. We met at a quiet cafe. She wasn't glamorous or smug. She looked tired. I didn't know, she said, voice raw. About the money. About you. I believed her. He said you were okay with it, she whispered. That your marriage was just practical. I nodded slowly. That's what they say to feel innocent. Her eyes filled. He made it sound normal. His mum helped him. I exhaled. It was normal for them. Because I enabled it. She slid her phone across the table. Messages. Dates. Screenshots. And then something that made my stomach tighten. A text from Marcus. Mum will handle it. Don't worry about money. There it was. The direct link. She swallowed. I'm sorry. I didn't comfort her. But I didn't attack either. I'm not here to punish women, I said quietly. I'm here to remove myself from a system built to exploit me. She nodded, tears falling. When she left, I sat alone and felt something like relief. Because now there was no room for doubt. Just facts. That evening, Marcus came home furious. What did you do? He demanded. I looked up calmly. I told the truth. He paced, hands in his hair. You embarrassed my mum. You embarrassed me. I blinked. You embarrassed yourself. His face twisted. You're acting like a victim. I leaned forward. Because I am one. And I'm done being silent. His phone rang. He answered, voice sharp. Mum. He listened, expression tightening. Then he snapped, I told you she'd calm down. He hung up and pointed at me. She's crying. You're destroying the family. I breathed slowly. I'm trying to stop being destroyed by it. He stepped closer, voice softer, trying manipulation. We can fix this. Apologize. Send her the money. Move on. The audacity nearly winded me. I stood. No, I said simply. His eyes widened. No? No. He stared like he'd never heard that word from me. Then his anger returned. You think you're strong? No one will care about you when you're divorced. I held his gaze. I don't need anyone to care. I need myself to care. His phone buzzed. Message preview from Diane. If she won't pay, take it. You have access. My eyes flicked to the screen. His hand jerked, covering it. Too late. You saw that, he said. Yes. He tried to backtrack. She doesn't mean. She means exactly what she wrote. I cut in. And you already tried. I showed him the login attempt emails. His face drained. He looked genuinely caught. And afraid. He lunged for my phone. I stepped back, already dialing Claire's emergency line. She answered immediately. Are you safe? Yes, I said, eyes on Marcus. But he's escalating. Marcus hissed, hang up. I didn't. Claire said, leave if you can. Go somewhere safe. Yes, I said. Marcus's eyes narrowed as he realized I wasn't improvising. I was executing. I grabbed my bag and headed to the bedroom. He followed, furious. Where are you going? To peace, I said steadily. He grabbed my arm, not hard enough to bruise, but tight enough to control. I stared at his hand. Let go, I said quietly. Not until you talk. I looked him in the eyes. You've had years to talk. You chose lies. His grip tightened. Let go. He hesitated. Because he saw something new in me. Resolve. He released me slowly. I walked out. No screaming. No drama. I left with dignity. In my car, my hands shook, not from fear, but adrenaline. I drove to my friend's house and finally let myself breathe. My phone buzzed. Diane, you will regret this. I typed one reply. Do not contact me again. Contact my solicitor. I blocked her. My chest rose and fell. The air tasted cleaner. The next morning, I checked the joint account. Withdrawals. Large ones. Made overnight. They were draining it. Claire answered on the first ring. They're emptying the account, I said. We expected this. Act quickly. I drove straight to the bank. The advisor listened professionally, then pulled up the activity. Her eyebrows lifted. These withdrawals happened early this morning. I didn't make them, I said. She looked at me carefully. Was your husband authorized? Yes, I said, shame burning. Her tone softened. We can restrict activity, but there are limitations. I signed the forms and left with copies. Outside, I sat in my car and cried. Just once. Quiet. Then I wiped my face and called Marcus. He answered, voice smug. Ready to be reasonable. I saw the withdrawals, I said calmly. Silence. Then he scoffed. I needed money. For what? For life. For family. I inhaled slowly. You stole from me. He laughed cruelly. It's not stealing. You're my wife. The words hit like ice. I'm not your property, I said quietly. And I'm done. I ended the call. 2 hours later, Diane posted online about ungrateful wives. Relatives started messaging me. I didn't reply to anyone. Instead, I wrote one message: I supported this family in good faith. That faith was abused. I will not fund betrayal. Please respect my privacy. I sent it to the group chat. Silence followed. Then Diane sent a voice note, long, dramatic, crying. I didn't play it. I forwarded it to Claire. A week later, Marcus showed up at my friend's house. He stood at the door with flowers, shoulders slumped, face carefully sad. My friend stood beside me. Want me to send him away? I stared at him. I'll talk. Outside. I stepped onto the porch. He held out the flowers. I'm sorry. I didn't take them. He cleared his throat. Mum's upset. The family's upset. You've made this a big thing. I blinked. That's your apology. He sighed dramatically. You know what I mean. Why did your mother demand money from me? I asked. He shrugged. She needed help. And why was that help used for other women? His face tightened. He tried to step closer. You're twisting it. I held up my phone. I have receipts. He swallowed. His voice changed, harder. Okay. Maybe things got messy. Messy. Like spilled milk. He leaned in, softer. But we can fix it. Come home. Start fresh. I stared at him. Start fresh with what? New lies. His jaw clenched. You're enjoying this. I almost laughed. I'm just refusing to be used. He looked past me, calculating. Then quietly, Mum wants a meeting. One last time. I knew what that meant. Another attempt at pressure. But I also knew something else. I had the evidence. I had legal support. So I nodded slowly. Fine. One meeting. His shoulders relaxed. He thought he'd won. He had no idea. At the final meeting, the living room was full again. Relatives sat upright, ready to judge. Diane sat like a queen, lips tight, eyes bright with anger. Marcus sat beside her, pretending regret. I walked in alone. No shaking. I placed my folder on the table. Diane's eyes narrowed. What is that? Transparency, I said. She scoffed. We don't need papers. We need respect. I met her gaze. Respect is earned. Someone murmured. I opened the folder and laid out documents. Clean, organized. Timeline of transfers. Proof of coercion. Evidence of unauthorized access. Records of withdrawals. Screenshots of Marcus's messages. Mum will handle it. I didn't yell. I spoke like someone presenting facts. Here is what was taken. Here is where it went. Here are the lies. Aunt stared at the pages. An uncle cleared his throat. Diane's hands trembled as she reached for the screenshots. This is fake, she hissed. It's not, I said. Marcus stood suddenly. Enough. I looked at him. Sit down. The room froze. He stared at me, shocked. I continued calmly. I'm not here for performance. I'm here to end this. Diane's voice rose. You're tearing apart the family. I nodded. No. I'm stepping away from people who tear me apart to finance their desires. She gasped. Marcus's face flushed. You're making me look like a monster. I tilted my head. Then stop acting like one. Silence. I slid the final document forward, the separation notice. Marcus's fear finally showed in his eyes. Diane stared at the notice, lips trembling. Marcus read it twice, then looked up. You're really leaving? Yes, I said. His mother leaned forward. You can't just walk away. I breathed slowly. Wife doesn't mean wallet. It doesn't mean servant. She pointed at relatives. Tell her this is wrong. No one spoke. Marcus tried again, voice soft, pleading. You're throwing away years. We had good times. I nodded. We did. Then you used me. Diane's voice turned vicious. You're barren in spirit. The insult was meant to cut, but it slid off me. I looked at her quietly. You raised a son who needs his mother to manage his betrayal. That's not my shame. Shock rippled through the room. Marcus's face contorted. How dare you? I met his gaze. How dare you let her talk to me like she owns me? I stood, gathered my papers. I'll be moving out next week. Please don't contact me for money again. Diane hissed, you'll come crawling back. I shook my head gently. No. The power shifted. Not because I screamed. Because I stopped participating. As I walked out, Marcus called after me, voice cracking, how are we supposed to manage? I realized he'd never once asked that about me. In the driveway, cold air hit my face. Behind me, muffled voices rose. Panic now, not confidence. Marcus followed me out, anger and fear fighting in his expression. Where did your money go? You always handled it. I turned slowly. I redirected my income months ago. He froze. What? I stopped feeding the machine, I said evenly. I opened my own account. I protected myself. I paid the bills while you and your mother tried to trap me. His mouth opened, then closed. You planned this, he whispered. I nodded. Yes. He stared like he'd never seen me. Because he hadn't. He'd seen a version shaped by pressure. Not the version who could build a plan and execute it. Diane appeared in the doorway, eyes wide, face tight. You wicked girl, she spat. I looked at her calmly. I think I'm done. I turned back to Marcus. I didn't win by destroying you, I said. I won by removing myself. He swallowed hard. Please, don't do this. I tilted my head. You already did this. I'm just responding. I got in my car. He stood helpless. His mother stared like she wanted to curse me. I started the engine and drove away. In my rearview mirror, their figures shrank. For the first time in years, I felt light. The next week, Natasha messaged me again. He's telling everyone you're crazy. Do you want me to send proof? I stared at her message, then replied, yes. Send it. Not for revenge. For closure. She sent screenshots, him calling me controlling, stingy, dramatic. Him begging her to be patient because Mum will handle money. I forwarded everything to Claire. Then I wrote one final message in the family group chat. Clear. Not emotional. I supported this family in good faith. That faith was abused. I will not fund betrayal or coercion. I have documented evidence and legal representation. Do not contact me for money or reconciliation. Please respect my privacy. I left the group. Blocked numbers. Changed passwords again. Updated my address for payroll. Moved into my own place. Small, quiet, clean, mine. The first morning there, I woke and waited for dread. It didn't come. I made tea and watched steam rise in sunlight. My phone buzzed once. Unknown number. I didn't answer. Because my boundaries were real now. Weeks later, I heard through a cousin that Diane was struggling. Not from guilt. Because the money stopped. Marcus couldn't keep up appearances without a wife's income quietly paying bills. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Fitting. Their system collapsed the moment I stopped fueling it. One evening, I looked at my payslip and felt something I hadn't in years. Ownership. My time was mine. My money was mine. My dignity was mine. The truth was simple. I didn't win by being cruel. I won by being firm enough to leave, and loving myself enough not to return. I sat in my small flat, tea cooling in my hands, and thought about everything. The calls. The transfers. The lies. The woman I'd been, afraid, people-pleasing, desperately trying to be enough. And the woman I'd become, clear-eyed, self-protecting, unafraid to say no. My phone stayed silent. No demands. No manipulation. No guilt trips. Just peace. I thought about Marcus sometimes, not with longing, but with something closer to pity. He'd built his life on taking. And when the source dried up, he had nothing left. Diane too. Her empire of control crumbled without my compliance. They'd thought they were powerful. But their power was only ever borrowed, from me. From my labor. My silence. My fear. The moment I took those things back, they had nothing. I didn't destroy them. I just stepped away. And watched what they'd built fall apart without me holding it up. A month after I moved out, I received an email from Claire. Everything is finalized. You're legally separated. Assets protected. No further claims can be made against your accounts. I read it twice, then closed my laptop and exhaled. It was over. Really over. I went for a walk that evening, through streets I was still learning, past shops I was starting to recognize. The city felt different now. Not threatening. Not lonely. Just new. A chance to rebuild on my own terms. I thought about the girl who'd stood in her kitchen, hands shaking as she transferred money she couldn't afford. The girl who'd believed that being a good wife meant being silent. I wished I could tell her what I knew now. That goodness without boundaries is just weakness in disguise. That love without respect is just control wearing a gentle mask. That walking away isn't failure, it's survival. I passed a cafe and stopped, looking at my reflection in the window. I looked different. Lighter somehow. Not because I'd lost weight or changed my hair, but because I wasn't carrying their expectations anymore. I smiled at myself, small and genuine. Then I kept walking. I started rebuilding slowly. Not with grand gestures or dramatic changes. Just small, steady choices. I bought groceries without checking the joint account. I paid bills without fear. I went to dinner with friends without asking permission. Each small act felt revolutionary. Because for so long, I'd believed my life belonged to other people. That my money, my time, my choices were all subject to approval. Now they were mine again. I got a text one evening from an unknown number. It was Natasha. I left him. Thank you for showing me the truth. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I replied simply, I'm glad you're free. She sent back a heart emoji. I didn't need her gratitude. But it was nice to know that speaking up had ripple effects. That standing firm had helped someone else find their own strength. I thought about all the women who stayed silent. All the women who funded their own betrayals because they were told that's what love required. I hoped my story, however messy, however painful, might reach someone who needed to hear it. That it's okay to stop. It's okay to protect yourself. It's okay to walk away. Months passed. Spring turned to summer. I found a new rhythm, work, friends, hobbies I'd forgotten I enjoyed. I started painting again, something I'd given up because Marcus called it a waste of time. I joined a book club. I went hiking on weekends. Small joys I denied myself for years. One Saturday afternoon, my friend called. Marcus and Diane were at the shopping center today. They looked rough. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. Their downfall wasn't my victory. My freedom was. That evening, I sat on my small balcony watching the sunset. My phone sat silent beside me. No demands. No drama. No lies. Just peace. And I realized something profound. I'd spent years thinking I needed to be needed. That my value came from what I could give. But the truth was simpler. My value came from existing. From being whole. From protecting the person I'd become. I didn't need anyone to complete me. I was already complete. Marcus and Diane had tried to hollow me out. But I'd filled myself back up, with self-respect, boundaries, and quiet strength. They couldn't touch that. No one could. I thought about what I'd tell my younger self now. The girl who'd believed that being accommodating was the same as being loved. I'd tell her this. People will take as much as you let them. Not because they're evil. But because you taught them they could. And when you finally say no, they'll call you selfish. They'll call you cruel. They'll rewrite history to make you the villain. But that doesn't make it true. Setting boundaries isn't punishment. It's protection. And walking away from people who use you isn't failure. It's wisdom. I tell her that the hardest part isn't leaving. It's believing you deserve better. And that belief doesn't come from anyone else. It comes from you. From choosing yourself, again and again, even when it's terrifying. I looked at the life I'd built, small, quiet, mine. And I felt something I hadn't in years. Pride. Not arrogant pride. Quiet, Steady pride in the woman I'd become. The woman who'd been broken down and built herself back up. The woman who'd said no when the world demanded yes. The woman who'd walked away from comfort into uncertainty, and found peace on the other side. I didn't destroy Marcus and Diane. I just removed my hands from the machine that was grinding me down. And without my fuel, it stopped running. That was enough. More than enough. It was everything.